Welcome, curious minds, back for another deep dive. Today, we're zooming in on a country that, well, often gets a really distorted view in our digital feeds. I'm talking about the Philippines. When you think about this place, over 115 million people, more than 7,000 islands, what images actually pop into your head? Are they maybe from those glossy travel vlogs? Or news headlines, perhaps just, quick social media hits? Our mission today really is to unpack how such a diverse, complex nation gets so often squeezed into these misleading stereotypes online. We want to explore the impact, the profound, sometimes alarming impact of these misrepresentations. We've waded through, honestly, a stack of sources, articles, research, our own notes, trying to expose the mechanics of this digital deception, its consequences, and maybe most importantly, what you, the listener, can do to push for more authentic storytelling.
And that's so crucial, isn't it? Because this dive it really has to go beyond just seeing what's online. It's about getting why certain things are shown the way they are. And the very real implications these warped narratives have for the whole country, for its people. It forces us to look deeper.
Yeah, exactly. And as we were digging through everything, this kind of two-faced narrative just kept jumping out. It really seems to dominate how the Philippines is shown. So
Right.
on one hand, you get what we're calling the sanitized paradise.
Ah, yes, the postcard view.
Totally. Those stunning, almost too perfect videos, often by foreign vloggers,
Yeah.
amazing drone shots of Palawan, maybe titles like Foreigner Shocked by Filipino Hospitality, that could
Right. Very click-friendly.
incredibly popular too. We saw
Yeah.
a 2025 travel vlog about El Nido. It pulled in something like 3.5 million views. Huge numbers.
Yeah.
And look, they definitely boost tourism. The Department of Tourism clocked 8.2 million visitors in 2024.
Yeah.
But what's glaringly obvious is what's missing, right?
Absolutely spot on. What gets left out is, well, the complexity, the reality. Like Manila's traffic, which is legendary, or, political tensions that exist, and the incredible diversity. You mentioned 7,000 islands. That means around 170 different ethno-linguistic groups. That's just erased in these perfect paradise pictures. It's curated.
Airbrushed, almost.
Hmm.
And then at the total opposite end, you find this really troubling trend of poverty porn.
Yes. That term itself is pretty stark.
It is, and it describes vloggers literally filming themselves, handing out cash or maybe food in poorer areas, often zooming right in on crying kids or rundown homes. It's engineered for maximum emotional reaction. And clicks, of course.
We saw a really sharp example, didn't we? That 2025 TikTok video. A foreign creator supposedly helping a family in Manila.
Oh yeah, that one blew up. 4 million views fast.
But the backlash was instant. On X, people were calling it out, saying it was just using poverty as content. And the ethical problems are huge. Often there's no real consent. People become props, basically, in this kind of savior story the vlogger is telling. There was actually a 2024 study from Tino de Manila found that 60%, a huge majority of videos like this, violated the subject's dignity and, crucially, offered zero long-term help.
So it feels like there's a common thread here, even though the narratives seem totally different. Paradise versus poverty. What did the research suggest about the motives?
Well, that's the really interesting part, I think. What connects the glossy travel stuff and the poverty porn isn't just chasing views, it's fundamentally a business model. Both narratives, paradise and pity, they tend to prioritize profit ad revenue, brand deals over the actual truth. It simplifies, even exploits, because extremes and controversy, well, they feed the algorithms. It reduces a whole nation to stereotypes.
For money. And sometimes it goes beyond just misrepresentation, doesn't it? Some creators seem to escalate into outright disrespect, using Filipino hospitality for viral pranks.
Oh, definitely. That becomes exploitation.
The Vitaly Zdorovetski case really highlighted this. January 2025, right? This Russian-American vlogger, he actually faced deportation. He filmed himself harassing people, stealing a security guard's hat, intimidating a woman, just awful stuff.
And those videos got viewed how many times?
2.8 million times.
Yeah.
Shocking. It led to quick action from the Bureau of Immigration. Commissioner Joel Viado said pretty clearly, abusing our hospitality is unacceptable. Even President Marcos Jr. weighed in.
Good. It needed a strong response.
What struck me looking at the sources is how these prank videos seem to prey on the Philippines' cultural emphasis on politeness, maybe being non-confrontational. So the creators bank on that reaction. There was an X post, I think, from 2025 that put it bluntly. Foreigners prank Filipinos because they know they'll get away with it.
And it's incredibly troubling. It points to this wider, dangerous trend where, genuine human connection, basic respect. It's just sacrificed for online engagement for clicks. It's a power imbalance, pure and simple. Often wealthier vloggers targeting locals who might feel less able to push back, turning people into content. But the backlash, like that change.org petition with 10,000 signatures, that shows a growing resistance. People are saying, enough, demanding respect.
Yeah, demanding respect over just being entertainment fodder. And that theme, commodifying things, it extends to culture too, right? Cultural appropriation for profit. Sacred traditions turned into, well, content.
The Nas Daily controversy from 2021 is such a key example here, with Apo Wangad, the legendary Kalinga tattoo artist.
Right, Nas Academy started marketing this $15 course. They claimed it would teach her ancient tattooing methods. And they even said she consented, showing a contract with her thumbprint.
But then her grandniece, Grace Palikas, spoke out, called it a scam, said Wangad never agreed to teach it like that.
Exactly. And the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, the NCIP, they stepped in, declared the contract void. They pointed out, quite rightly, that Kalinga tattooing isn't something one person owns, it's a collective cultural heritage. It needs community consent.
Nas Academy did apologize eventually,
Yeah.
but the whole thing really lingered. People were still talking about it on X in 2025. Shows the deep impact.
And it's not just these big high-profile cases, is it?
No, not at all. It's broader. You see vloggers doing things like eating balut or showing tribal dances, but completely out of context, no understanding, no respect for the meaning. They just become novelties, little curiosities for the camera. There was a 2024 study, University of the Philippines, found 70% of travel vlogs they looked at misrepresented cultural practices, ignored the history, the spiritual side.
So it's just reducing these really rich traditions to content bites.
Precisely. And it raises that fundamental question, are we actually engaging respectfully with cultural depth, or are we just, consuming it and potentially eroding its integrity in the process?
Which leads us, unfortunately, to the darkest consequence we found linked to this whole culture of exploitative content, and that's its connection to Oseki online sexual abuse and exploitation of children.
A truly horrifying reality.
And the Philippines has tragically become a global hotspot. UNICEF reported in 2024, estimated 2 million kids aged 12 to 17 experiencing online abuse each year. That was a 264% jump since 2020. It's just
staggering.
It's almost unimaginable.
How it often works, fueled by poverty and maybe gaps in digital oversight, is through live-streamed abuse, often commissioned by foreigners using platforms like Zoom. It's a massive underground industry. A 2025 ECPAT report estimated it at $2 billion.
$2 billion. Devastating.
And the link back to the kinds of vlogs we've been talking about, especially the poverty porn. It's subtle but insidious. Can you unpack that connection a bit more? How does seemingly less harmful content feed into something so awful? It's about normalization and dehumanization, I think. When online content consistently reduces people, whether it's the paradise view or the poverty view, to just objects for viewing for clicks, it can desensitize audiences. This gradual chipping away at dignity, even if unintentional in many vlogs, it creates an environment, a climate where the most extreme forms of exploitation, like OSIC, can seem less shocking, or where victims are seen as somehow disposable. And poverty porn specifically highlights the very desperation that traffickers prey on. A 2024 PNT report found that 80% of perpetrators are actually relatives driven by that desperation.
That's incredibly bleak.
It is. And while there's been action, the Anti-OSIC Act of 2022 led to 300 arrests by mid-2025, which is progress the demand, the market for this abuse. It sadly persists. Someone on X put it chillingly in 2025. Clickbait vlogs feed the same mindset that sees Filipino kids as disposable.
So pulling this all together, what's the wider impact on Filipino society? And importantly, what does it mean for us as viewers? The harms are real. Those tourism narratives, they inflate expectations. A DOT survey found about 30% of 2024 visitors felt disappointed by urban realities, not the postcard they saw online. Poverty porn, it dehumanizes. A Manila resident told GMA News in 2025, quite simply, we're not here for your cameras.
It strips away agency.
Exactly. Cultural appropriation erodes trust. We saw the Kalinga boycott after Nas Daily. OZ's rise puts immense strain on law enforcement. The PNP's anti-cybercrime group handled 1,200 cases in 2024 alone. And even the Filipino diaspora, 10 million people globally, they face stereotypes. X posts in 2025 mentioned job discrimination linked to those constant poor country images.
But it's important to say it's not all negative online. There are strong counter-narratives. Authentic Filipino creators are out there. People like Will Dasovich, huge following, 2.7 million subscribers. He showcases genuine stories, respectful engagement, moving beyond the easy stereotypes.
That's crucial. So, okay, what can you, the listener, actually do? How can we help shift this? First, it really comes down to viewer awareness. Start questioning the motives. Ask yourself, is this content respectful or is it exploitative? And then actively seek out and support creators who are engaging authentically. We mentioned Will Dasovich. There's also Filipino YouTuber Kuya Magic, 1.5 million subs, uses humor in education. Or even historians like Ambeth Ocampo online.
Consume consciously.
Exactly. Second, platform accountability. YouTube, TikTok, they have to do better with moderation. That TechCrunch report, finding 20% of flagged exploitative videos still online in 2025, that's not good enough. Public pressure works. That 2025 X campaign got 15,000 likes demanding stricter policies. We need more of that.
Makes a difference.
Third, government action needs to continue and maybe expand. The Philippines Cybercrime Prevention Act could potentially be strengthened to penalize more types of exploitative content, building on the anti-OSCEC framework. And finally, community empowerment. Supporting local groups like the NCIP and their cultural protection programs, they actually work to educate creators on how to engage ethically.
Supporting the guardians of culture.
Yes. And, you listening, you actually hold power here. By choosing authentic content, by clicking on it, sharing it, you shift the algorithms. YouTube analytics in 2025 showed a 25% jump in views for ethical Filipino content when diaspora communities actively promoted it. Your choices matter. And hey, if you want to keep digging deeper, keep expanding your understanding and challenging perceptions like we've tried to do today, you should definitely check out Mind Expansion Daily. They offer great info just like this. So, to wrap up, the Philippines is just so much more than easily digestible clickbait. It's not just beaches or poverty porn. It's a nation with incredible resilience, stunning diversity, deep cultural roots. The narratives pushed by some bloggers online for profit, they distort that reality. They cause real harm, fuel cultural disrespect, and can even enable horrific crimes. In 2025, it really feels critical that we all demand better, support authentic voices, reject exploitation.
Absolutely. And maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. In our world, which is becoming more and more digital every day, how do we make sure the stories we consume actually reflect the dignity, the complexity of real people, real cultures? How do we stop them from just becoming content? What's our shared responsibility, yours and mine, everyone's, in demanding truth and demanding respect online? Something to think about.